Okay, we are back into open session. The first item of business is we need to approve the closed session minutes dated March the 15th, 2022, and I'll entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is we have some non-renewal support personnel. Dr. Evers.
Yes, I need a motion to approve the dismissal of Jacob Thompson as a district custodian effective immediately. So moved.
Entertain-
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
Need a motion to approve the dismissal of Julie Droge, an assistant cook effective immediately. So moved.
And a second? Second. Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
The final approval for the dismissal of Tanya Castleberry, a paraprofessional, effective immediately.
I make a motion to dismiss Miss Tanya Castleberry.
And a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries. We have some employments.
All right, we'll start with the certified group. Brittany Lockhart as the RN CNA Health Occupations teacher next year. Krista Odell, high school English. Tara Brunau, high school science. And Crystal
Stoltz.
as high school science.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve those hires.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
A non-certified group, the co-sponsorship by Sarah Norman and Luke Stegman as MHS National Honor Society. Meredith Lee as an LPN, and Logan Cheatham as a Carruthers paraprofessional.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve those hires.
So moved. I'll second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
I need a motion to approve Ellie Kirk as MHS head cheerleading coach.
I'll entertain a motion to approve that hire.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
The next would be Michelle Mifflin Blevins as MMS cheerleading coach.
Entertain a motion to approve that hire.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
No.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
The next would be a shared stipend of co-head coaches Emily Navarra and Jennifer Ellemeyer as the MMS Junior Dazzler co-coaches.
I'll entertain a motion to approve that, those hires.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
All right, summer school.
Nope,
No golf.
Oh, sorry.
volunteer.
I put it on one of my 4 sheets that said that.
I know.
As Mr. Stroud is the MMS volunteer golf coach for the SIJHS AA regional and state golf.
And I'll
series.
entertain a motion to approve that.
Clarification, is it just him or is it him/anyone else?
Him slash Mr. Hernan.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bame?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yes.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
Moving on to summer school. Amy Brock, supervisor, and then Jada Burr, Michaela Marshall, Teresa Ehlers, Amy Atterbury, William Reinhold, Josh Carrington, Ruthie Herder, Aaron Hankins, Andrea Waddington, Gloria Parker, Lisa Willoughby, Kelly Phillips, Lily Lichtig, and Bethany Vitas. for certified summer school personnel.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve those hires for summer school.
So moved.
I'll
Second,
second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries.
Non-certified Patrice Oliver, Sherry Tersansky, Kim Aiken, Gloria Estrada, Carrie Frick, Crystal Cross, Leslie Fairless, and Amy Gahagan.
And I'll entertain a motion to approve those hires. Second,
Second.
Mrs. Hines?
Mr. Beavers?
Yeah.
Mrs. Brazel?
Yes.
Mr. Boehm?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Evaldi?
Yes.
Mr. Rungy?
Yes, motion carries, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.